Hi everybody, it's Megan Fielder, author and creator behind Algebra Elevated, where I love making digital and printable resources that help teachers save time creating. And today I'm going to talk about something a little different. And it's about how to plan out your school year to make sure you get all that content covered. And some little tips and tricks that have helped me a lot. So the number one thing, whether you're teaching a new course or something that you've taught before, is, in my opinion, making sure that all the content is covered by the end of the year. Now, I teach an algebra class, and so there is a midterm exam and then a final exam that I have to work within and make sure I get all that content covered to the students before those are coming up so that they are prepared ahead of time. Even if you don't have a test like that, benchmarking your end of year or middle of your year, it's always important to make sure that content is covered as well so that they are ready to move on to the next class. Some things that have really helped me get the handle on getting all my content covered is making sure I have a plan before the school year starts, which is part of the reason why I want to talk to you about that now. So before the school year starts, I have all my content that I have available to me, all the plans that I kind of know at the time, and I take a look and sit down with a calendar. So I sit down with a calendar. Sometimes this is paper, but I typically use my digital calendar, and I'll link that in the description below so that if you're interested in a digital teacher planner, you could check that out. But I first block off all the teacher holidays, block off all the professional development days, anything that's going to get in the way of my students' time with me. I make sure I try to remember that. M-STEP testing or NWA testing or whatever statewide testing your state has in particular. I live in Michigan, so those are mine. I make sure to block those off. Now, do I know exactly when they are going to take place? No. But I have a rough idea of when they might happen, typically in October or November, typically in March or April. And so I make sure to reserve a little extra time in those particular months. But the exact days can be flexible. After I have my calendar sketched out with that, I take a look at my content. And I think of first, is it broken into units, like books? How many are there? And then I try to figure out how many I need to cover in the first half of the year and how many I need to cover in the second half of the year. I like to end my units when our quarters and our semesters end, just so that there's not any carryover and the students really get a fresh start as much as possible in the new quarter or new semester. So that kind of is part of my benchmarks. Then what I do is I lay out how much time I think a unit might take. And this is rough. This is just to help kind of guide you during the school year. So say unit 1 takes 3 weeks. I kind of mark off 3 weeks. Unit 2 is going to take 2.5 weeks. Kind of mark that off. Now I will say I've been fortunate that my district suggests a general pacing for us. And so that has helped kind of make this process easier. If I had to figure that out myself, I would definitely take a lot more time. But this rough estimate of days or weeks gets me started. Now, say Unit 3 is going to take 4 weeks. But 4 weeks would end the Monday after, say, Thanksgiving week. Well, that's not going to work. I can't give a test on a Monday after they've been on break for a few days. So then I know I have to scooch that up. Well, so then is Unit 3 where I want to take away those days from? Or maybe it's Unit 2 or Unit 1. So by laying it out ahead of time, I know not to waste time in Unit 1. I can shorten that up to ensure that I finish Unit 3 on time. And so I continue this process throughout the rest of the school year. Really mindful of quarter ending dates, semester ending dates, and holidays. I really want to try to get my units done ahead of a holiday instead of during a holiday. Now, there's always going to be a few students absent here or there around the holiday, but in general, most of your students will be there, so it's better for everybody to finish it off beforehand rather than after the holidays. After this, now I said, this is a rough plan. You can take it one step further. And I've done this with one of my classes that I teach because I've taught it a few times. But then my brand new class that I just did last year, I couldn't do this right away, but now I have the information to do that. I actually go day by day, and I list off what I'm going to teach which days. So a couple days before the test, there's going to be a review. then there's going to be another review day, then the test day. So I know my material needs to be squished into these number of days. This helps me plan day to day as the school year goes. It makes it a lot quicker. I feel like I have a plan before I even start. But again, that's something that comes with time, and you might not be able to do that the first year. But you can have this rough sketch your first year. Now you might be thinking, why is this so important? Well, anytime there's a disruption with your classroom, maybe something takes longer to teach than you anticipated. Maybe there's a snow day or a weather day that hinders your ability to have class that day. You now know I either need to take away a day or something from this unit, or I need to take away a day from the next unit. If I don't take care of this right now I'm going to start to not be able to finish my content. What I have found with a lot of my peers and a lot of the people I work with in my district, anytime there's a disruption in their classroom, they don't necessarily account for that disruption later. And so then by the end of the school year, they've kind of accumulated, and now all of a sudden they can't teach the last unit or two or half a unit or whatever it may be. So by having this rough plan, you have these benchmarks that you're trying to hit. You're trying to get each unit done by this date or this date or this date. And so by having these hard set boundaries for yourself is how I have successfully been able to finish my content every single year. Now, are some units not as ideal as others? Sure. But I'd rather have a rushed unit here than skip an entire unit at the end of the year that was really, really important for them for their final test or for the class that follows. So hopefully something in there was helpful to you. If you would like to see more about how I do this or walk through about my step-by-step process, definitely let me know in the comments down below. As always, like, subscribe, and share if you found this video to be helpful to you and your students. And if you have any questions, reach out. I'm on Instagram at Algebra Elevated. I hope you all have an awesome day, and I will talk to you soon.